We're going to review our trig unit for the final. So the first thing we started with was identifying the trig ratios. Remember, we use so, ka, toa. So I just choose one of these two angles and let's do A. So I'm going to find sine of A, cosine A, and tangent A. So once we know what angle we're looking from, that's where we label H, O, A. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that would be 3 over 5. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's 4 over 5. And tangent is O over A, so 3 over 4. So when we're asked for a trig ratio, that just means the fraction. It doesn't mean I'm solving any sort of equation. So now let's look at when we do want to solve. My first step is to find the angle I care about, in this case, the 65, and to label H, O, A. We circle where we have numbers and variables. So I have one at X is at H, and 10 is at O, so I'm going to use sine. So sine of 65 degrees equals O, which is 10 over X. And then on our calculator, make sure you're in degree mode. We're going to write down 2 decimal places, so 0.906 equals 10 over X. We always multiply by our denominator, so 0.906 X equals 10, which means I need to divide by 0.906 on both sides. So X equals about 11 if we round to 1 decimal place. The next one, I'm trying to solve for an angle, but I'm still going to label my H, O, A. My numbers are at A and H, so I want to do cosine. So cosine of theta equals 4 over 5. So we're going to use inverse cosine, the second cosine, and we get that my angle is 36.9 degrees. Once again, that's where on the calculator we're going to press second cosine. All right. Solve a right triangle. So when we want to solve a triangle, that means we're finding all the sides and all the angles. In this one, since they did give me one of the angles, the first thing that's easiest to do is to say that angle A is going to be 40 degrees. Add and subtract from 180. So I'm going to knock that out. But I always go back to the original thing they give me, so I just wrote that to the side, but I'm pretty much going to ignore it now so I don't get confused. By me, I mean you. But anyway, so we label H, O, A, and we just decide which one we want to start with. Well, I need to start with O, and then I'm going to do H. So that would be sine. So sine of 50 degrees equals O, which is 4 over my hypotenuse. Sine of 50 degrees is 0.766. You want to keep it at least 3 decimal places. Those of you who know how to do all this on the calculator, that's awesome. Just make sure to give me that first line. Multiply by the denominator. So 0.766 y equals 4. Divide by 0.7. I don't know why I switched to y. Yes, I do, because on my notes over here that I did for myself, I had h. Not that anyone probably noticed. So then my hypotenuse is 4 divided by 0.766, which is 5.2. Okay, so I've done that. I'm still going to use O, but now I'm going to solve for my other side, which is where I have A. So O and A is tangent. Tangent of 50 degrees equals opposite is 4 over adjacent. Tangent of 50 is 1.192 equals 4 over adjacent side. We're going to multiply on both sides by the denominator. So 1.192a equals 4. And divide on both sides by 1.192. And I get that my adjacent side is 3.4. So that was using trig to solve a variety of types of problems. Another thing we talked about were special right triangles, your absolute favorite. Don't you love my sarcasm? Okay, so what we want to remember for those, I'm going to use this bottom right to have some space, is that I had 45, 45, 90, and the pattern for that was x root 2. Then I had 30, 60, 90, which was x root 3, 2x. So when I look at this first problem, since I have the 60-degree angle, that means I'm using x root 3, 2x. And what they give me is 8, which is across from the 30 degrees. So that means x equals 8. So then under 60 is going to be 8 square root 3. So that's what x is. And then y, we multiply 8 by 2 and get 16. So y is 16. Going down, I have a 45, 45, 90, so we're going to use x root 2. So I'm given something opposite a 45-degree angle, so I have 8 square root 2. So my x that they're asking about is going to be 8 square root 2 because it's opposite my hypotenuse. Sorry, it's opposite my 90-degree angle, making it my hypotenuse. Okay, I have a 60-degree angle, so that means we're dealing with a 30, 60, 90. So x root 3, 2x. We have the hypotenuse, 6, so that needs to go under the 2x. So 2x equals 6, which means that x equals 3. And then this is 3 root 3. So in my diagram, I guess it's confusing to have x as the label too. Sorry. Just realized that. So we have 3, and then y is 3 root 3. We have another 45, 45, 90. This one's a little different though. So we have x root 2, and I'm putting the 8 now underneath the x root 2, so this is times. So to go from x to x square root 2, we multiply by square root 2. I need to go backwards by dividing. So I need to do 8 over square root 2. But someone somewhere decided we don't like square roots in the bottom, so we're going to rationalize that. Okay, which gives me, I didn't leave enough room. What else is new? 8 square root 2 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 is either square root of 4 or 2. And then 8 divided by 2 simplifies to 4 square root 2. Okay, some of you realize the shortcut of I can divide the 8 by 2 and slap a square root of 2 onto the end. The other way you could kind of think of this is equal, right? And this is what we're saying in words, but if it helps you to think of it as an equation, it's x square root 2 equals 8, and then we're dividing to solve that equation by square root 2. I don't know if that helps anyone, but there it is. So looking at this last one, we have a 30, 60, 90. So once again, x root 3, 2x. We have opposite the 60-degree angle is 12. And before I can get the 2x, I have to go back and find out what x is. So once again, going forward, we multiply by square root of 3. So to go back, we're going to divide by square root 3. Or, for those of you it hadn't clicked with yet, we're solving the equation x square root 3 equals 12 and dividing by square root 3. Whatever makes more sense to you at this point. So we want to rationalize the denominator. So that means multiply by square root of 3 over square root of 3. That gives me 12 root 3 over 3. And 12 over 3 is going to reduce to 4 square root of 3. Once I have that, I'm going to multiply the front by 2 to get 8 square root 3. The last thing we want to look at are word problems. The most important part of a word problem is drawing your picture correctly. So in this first problem, it says a 28-foot ladder is leaning against a vertical wall. So I need to draw my wall, and then I have my ladder, and I just put these little marks on it to tell myself it's a ladder. Okay? And it says that the ladder is 28 feet. So those little marks tell me, okay, I need to be putting the 28 there. It makes a degree of 80 degrees with the ground. And it says how far from the base of the wall, so that's here, is the foot of the ladder there. So that's where I'm going to put X. And now we label HOA, HOA. X is what I care about. H is where I have a number, so A and H means I'm going to use cosine. Cosine of my angle is 80 degrees equals A, which is X, over H, which is 28. And we solve that equation and get 0.174 equals X over 28. Multiply by the denominator, and I get that my distance from the wall is 4.9 feet. The next one, from the top of a vertical 186-foot cliff, the angle of depression to a boat is 13 degrees. So we have my boat, and then I have a cliff. Do you like my art? It's gorgeous. Okay, so the cliff is 186 feet tall. And the angle of depression, remember, with the triangle that you're probably drawing, is outside the triangle. So we want to use our alternate interior angles and get that that's the same thing. It's congruent to my angle of elevation from the boat to the, excuse me, top of the cliff. All right. Now, I think this wording is not ideal. So I want us to kind of change that and say from the foot of the cliff. How far is the boat from the foot of the cliff? Okay. Because I don't really know why, the way it reads to me is that it's asking for the hypotenuse, but I don't really know why that matters in your life. So I'm going to say we care probably more how we get to shore. So I'm artistically changing that. Oops, how do I know it's tangent? Getting ahead of myself. H, O, A. I feel like a cheerleader saying a little cheer. All right, so tangent of 13 degrees equals 186 over X. So tangent of 13 is 0.231 equals 186 over X. Multiply by the denominator, so 0.231X equals 186. Divide by 0.231 on both sides, and we get that X is about 805.2 feet. Okay, so those were the ones that I call just single triangle problems. We also looked at some double triangle problems, which were more multi-step. So from the top of a 200-meter tall office building, the angle of elevation to the top of another building is 40 degrees. So let's draw what we have so far. So I have my two buildings. I'm going to leave some space. Okay, I know the shorter one is 200 feet tall. And if I stand on the top of that one and look up, my angle of elevation is 40 degrees. It says the angle of depression to the bottom of the building is 25 degrees, not drawn to scale. Okay, how tall is the second building? So my end goal is to find this whole height. Well, I know that this bottom piece is 200, so I really need to find that top part. If I try drawing that triangle right now, though, all I know is the 40 degrees, which means I need to find something else before I can keep doing this problem. And since this bottom of the triangle is in both of the triangles, that's where I'm going to start. So I actually want to solve the bottom one first. So if this is 200 and this is 25, I want to find this width because it's in both, it's overlapping. So I'm going to call that my x. And we label H, O, A. So I have O and A, which means I'm going to use tangent. Tangent of 25 degrees equals 200 over x. So tangent of 25 is 0.466 equals 200 over x. Multiply by the bottom, so 0.466x equals 200. Divide by 0.466 on both sides, and I get that x equals 429.2. Almost, there we go. Ha, I did it. So 429.2. And now that I have that, I can find, I'm going to call it y since I already used x. I'm going to find that height, y. So label H, O, A. Once again, who's your friend? Tangent. It's always tangent. It actually is kind of the super important one when we do word problems. All right, so tangent of 40 equals y over the number we just found, 429.2. Tangent of 40 degrees is 0.839 equals y over 429.2. So y equals 360.1. That's not my answer though, because that just gives me this top piece. So what do I need to do? I need to add 360.1 plus 200, and that gives me my final height of 560.1.